I've asked Canadians to think twice about going on cruise ships. Today, the Public Health Agency of Canada is recommending that Canadians avoid all cruise ship travel due to COVID-19.
That update from Canada's chief public health officer coming on the same day as the World Health Organization warns the threat of coronavirus becoming a pandemic is very real. More from the WHO is on the way. But first, what happens next for Canadians traveling on the coronavirus-hit Grand Princess?
The government of Canada has secured the services of a plane to repatriate Canadians on board the Grand Princess. This decision was made following a request from the government of the United States to repatriate foreign nationals aboard this ship, which has experienced an outbreak of COVID-19.
The Grand Princess, carrying some 2,400 passengers and about 1,100 crew members, docked in Oakland Monday. The ship was barred from returning to its home port in San Francisco due to a COVID-19 outbreak. More than 20 people on the ship tested positive last week after an American passenger from a previous trip died of the virus. Other people who were on that previous voyage have also tested positive, including 6 cases in Canada. As for those leaving the ship Monday, U.S.-based passengers will be transferred to quarantine stations at American military bases. The crew will remain on the vessel at sea for their 2-week quarantine. And Canadian travelers, before their flight back home, are screened for symptoms ahead of boarding the plane.
If they exhibit symptoms of COVID-19, they will not be permitted to board. They will be cared for by the U.S. healthcare system, and our consular services will remain in close contact throughout the duration of their illness.
The Canadians will follow a plan rolled out for previous coronavirus evacuees by landing in Ontario at Canadian Forces Base Trenton, where they'll undergo a 14-day quarantine. As for who's footing the bill for their return flight,
the cruise line will be assuming the costs of the plane to repatriate Canadians.
The Grand Princess is operated by the same company that runs the Diamond Princess, the cruise ship that was quarantined off Japan, where hundreds tested positive last month. So why are Canadians being told now to avoid all cruise ship travel?
The global situation changed quite rapidly, even from the time of the Diamond Princess cruise ship to now. I think the moment that something was noted in terms of cases on this particular cruise ship, international communities acted rapidly. So I think it's really a constant learning from the very rapidly evolving situation.
The threat of a pandemic has become very real.
The World Health Organization's Director General using some of the strongest language we've heard from him yet on the outbreak of coronavirus, which has infected more than 110,000 people around the world and killed roughly 3,900, the vast majority in China. But the head of the WHO says if COVID-19 becomes a pandemic,
it would be the first pandemic in history that could be controlled. The bottom line is we're not at the mercy of the virus.
But the virus's grip is being felt around the globe. A combination of coronavirus fears and a crash in oil prices sending markets plummeting Monday as Italy begins enforcing a lockdown on some 16 million people in the country's north in a dramatic attempt to try to contain Europe's worst outbreak. The coronavirus death toll in Italy climbing to more than 450. And beginning Tuesday, Italy extending restrictions to the entire country. The Italian prime minister says public gatherings will be banned, and he's asking people to stay at home, not to travel except for work or emergencies. Israel announcing a 14-day quarantine will be required for anyone entering the country. St. Patrick's Day parades across Ireland have all been canceled over coronavirus concerns ahead of festivities set for next week. France has banned gatherings of more than 1,000 people to contain the virus, with a few exceptions like mass transit. In the UK, officials warn that in the coming 10 to 14 days, people with minor symptoms will likely be asked to self-isolate. Here on our continent, the Indian Wells tennis tournament, set to begin this week in California, is one of the latest major events to be canceled due to coronavirus fears. And while Canada confirmed the country's first coronavirus death Monday out of British Columbia, the risk remains low.
Because of the ongoing expansion of COVID-19 outbreaks worldwide, for the time being, the risk to the general population within Canada is still low, but this could change rapidly.
And Canadian officials say the public health risk is continually reassessed as new information becomes available. For City News, I'm Melissa.